Matias, you're a vocal critic of the global traditional food industry. In fact, you once described that industry as being similar to the 2008 global financial crisis. What are the similarities?
Well, as a finance major, you very well said it. I understood the industry back in 2008 to have this few big companies selling overly complex products to consumers that were totally disconnected to what they were buying, and where regulators became deregulated. All of those red flags are in the food industry, you know. And my first approach was, what is broken in the system? The system of a lot of confusion when you got into a store and you got out more confused that you went in. One day eggs are good for you, the next day eggs are bad for you. One day milk is good for you, the next milk, you know. And whenever you have an industry so big that is so confused or generating so much confusion, it's because that industry probably is not based on science. So when I get there, I basically understood that the biggest problem of the food industry was that it has been operating under an obsolete technology for the last 50 years, and the consequences have been vast in terms of environmental impact, in terms of use of resources and efficiency of the use of resources to create nutrition for this growing population, and where the technology that we have today can make practically whatever we want. So if we take the animal out of the equation, how this equation will actually look like, how the food system would actually look like, and the difference is incredible. If we ate everything that comes from plants, we basically would transform a food industry that is today the common denominator to every major environmental ill known to humankind into something relatively efficient and relatively good for the environment, good for you and good for the environment. So to me, it was a no-brainer, but technology and science should be actually fixed in a system that doesn't use it.
So, at the heart of your technology and science-based approach to food is a artificial intelligence algorithm. Um, and this algorithm analyzes food at a molecular level, and you say recreates all of the flavors and textures of traditional food. Are they exact matches?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the one thing that we needed to do in the food industry is that we need to understand the food that we love to eat. We don't understand it. We have no idea how to describe it. What's the real data that would allow us to understand or to make a software understand what mayo is, what a piece of meat is, why does it have the taste that it has related to the functionality, related to, the experience, and what's the difference between, each meat that makes the human being like it more or less. Like, we needed to understand what food actually was. And there was poor understanding. But on the other side, there was poor understanding of the more than 400,000 species of plants in the world that exist. We had no idea what 99% of them can do. So we have no idea if the combination of pineapple and cabbage can recreate the flavor of milk, right? And that for a human being might sound super crazy, but for an algorithm, it isn't, because it's an unbiased powerhouse that generates kind of like these crazy combinations that you would never think about. So we lacked of innovation, we lacked of technology, and we lacked of science. So what we did was basically understand the food that we love to eat, understand this world of plants, and we design an algorithm allow us to predict which combination of plant-based ingredients and how do we need to combine them in order to generate the flavor, taste, color of a traditionally animal-based product but coming from plants, right? So in that way, we're kind of like replicating what we love to eat without any sacrifices, but doing an absolute wonder for the industry, for the environment, for the use of resources. So is it exactly the same? Yeah, and not even the same. Sometimes it's even better. So we've tasted our product, which is, our plant-based, for people that are not vegans, not vegetarians. They have no restrictions whatsoever, and they love our product better than the original, let's call it, and at this point of time, original product. So yeah, I mean, we could talk, all day about it.
It's pretty clear that business as usual in the consequences of business as usual in the food industry are potentially dire. Agriculture accounts for as much as a quarter of all greenhouse gas emissions. big picture, how can plant-based food save the planet?
Well, if you think about it in like kind of an engineering approach, we've been feeding plants to animals in order to generate our milk, cheese, eggs, and meat. If you cut down the animal, out of the equation, everything changes, right? The amount of water, energy, soil that you need to give these animals in order to produce the food, it's vast. If you take the animal out of the equation, you produce everything out of plants, you will be reducing exponentially the use of resources and the environmental impact. Let's remember that really, the environmental impact is something that has been, so undermined by creating this food system around us, that we were blindsided by how aggressive this was until very recently. And I think this is something important to actually mention, which is the connection to the new consumer, right? New consumers were born and raised with the idea of sustainability. We weren't, right? We sat on the table and probably had what our parents said that we needed to have, and they were convinced that milk made us stronger, and meat was something very important in our everyday meal. And now a kid actually understands what lies or what relies behind your cheap meat on the plate. It's really mesmerizing. So I definitely think that it also has to do with education, which is at this point of time very, very important for this shift of consumer preference.
So millennials and Gen Z are your core market. Presumably they're as angry, as outraged as you are at the traditional food industry. But let me ask you this: why don't you come up with an entirely new suite of products with new tastes, new flavors? Why don't you try to hook a new generation on different food? Why try replicating the old stuff that apparently isn't very good for you?
Yeah, this is a great question. So this was our first approach. Um, we humans are beings of we repeat and tend to repeat, and food is way more than just food. It's occasions of consumption, it's culture, it's your connection through the love of your grandma, your mom, your dad. It's something way stronger that we actually think. It's not just food. It's way more than that. And so when we said let's replace what we love, let's not change the way we make the food that we love to eat, or let's not change the food that we love to eat. Let's change the way we make the food that we love to eat. That was actually our mission since we started all of this. And you can only do that without sacrifice. People really want to. I mean, there's a natural reason. There's a scientific reason why we love milk. There's a scientific reason why we love meat, right? And so we started off by saying, let's replicate with plants what we already love that comes from animals. That will be doing a significant change for the industry. And then let's work on something to introduce a new suite of products that we never thought of before. So that's definitely on the pipeline. But at the beginning, it was like, and again, it has to do with the brand as well. Calling not something, not burgers, not milk. The human brain is not able to process negatives, right? So it always takes you to it's like, don't think about an elephant, you think about an elephant, right? So that takes you to an occasion of consumption is easier because you don't need to educate on the occasion of consumption, on the taste, and so on. So we started off going into the new products.
So you are defiantly anti-establishment. You talk about your products, not burger, not meat, not mayo, and your company name, NotCo. How did you come up with that?
Yeah, yeah. Well, it has two different pillars of how we created this brand. So one is probably, so it's a critic, it's a criticism to the system, right? Probably everything, Andy, that you think you're eating today is not what you think you're eating, right? So everything should be at the end of the day called not. Your yogurt that you think it's yogurt, it's not the yogurt that you think it is, right? So in our case, it was like everything should be called not. Let's be honest about it and just tell the consumer it's not what they think it is, right? And the other one was, there's a general nuance in this industry that the food system is broken. And you could talk with, high income consumers, low income consumers, they know there's something going on behind the industry and something really wrong about it. And so telling not straightforward. People understand it. It's incredible.
But Matias, even though you make a big deal out of critiquing and taking on the big players in the food industry, at the same time, you're collaborating with them. Burger King is a partner for you in Latin America. How does that work?
Well, since the get-go, we also understood that we needed to become these catalyzers of change. We're not going to change everything by ourselves. There's no way we can do that at the pace we really want to. There's these big brands that have a lot to say about this too. I mean, either they kind of like try to really ban you and cut you out, and we've seen this many times with lawsuits against plant-based companies, and they never win because the consumer is driving what is good, what is bad, and so there's others that actually join you, say, this is the future, man. And if we don't join NotCo, we're going to be outplaced like Blockbuster did, against Netflix. And you find those brands that really want to kind of like generate the brands of the future, and they are open to actually work with you. They are open to actually, learn from you, and they say, okay, I mean, you might be right, so let's go for it. And that's it. We hold hands, we change with partners, and that's the way we want to maintain ourselves also going forward.
How big could the market in plant-based food grow? Do you think it'll make a significant dent in the animal-based food market, or will it remain niche?
No, I mean, I can give you a few examples. I mean, we in the burger product we launched in Chile 10 months ago, 11 months ago, and we already have 5% of market share of the total burger market. 5% in only 10 months of sales. So that speaks to me into a dimension of market penetration of plant-based products that hasn't reached the peak, not even close to that, right? It's accelerating, unbelievably fast. The US only grew 24% in the plant-based industry versus 2% growth in the animal industry last year. And COVID accelerated this adoption of plant-based foods because today, younger generations are convincing their dads on changing, and it's absolutely incredible, and that's happening. And so it's not niche, it's going to become mainstream. Probably it's not going to take 100% of the industry, but at least in the next 10 years.